Ab world or mefeskadus adwamla amin. Besama ab world or mefeskadus adwamla amin. Besama ab world or mefeskadus adwamla amin. Blessed love, give thanks on this Sabbath. Hope everyone's doing good. And today's also Ethiopian Orthodox celebration called Timket, which is Epiphany, which celebrates the time that Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist in the River Jordan. And it's a big celebration where the tabots, the replicas of the 10 Commandments, are taken out of the churches. It's the only time in the year that happened, and they're paraded amongst the people. They're on the heads of the priests, still covered, but it's a beautiful celebration. It involves kind of water. They spray holy water on the people, and it's a big celebration. So that's this weekend. It happens today and tomorrow in many Ethiopian Orthodox churches. So blessed love all of you that are observing Timket. So today, on with the reading. Is longer than some of the others. Leviticus 22. So give thanks. Blessed love. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell Aaron and his sons to separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, which they may make holy to me, that they not profane my holy name. I am Yahweh. Tell them, if anyone of your offspring throughout your generations approaches the things which the children of Israel make holy to Yahweh, having his uncleanness on him, that they shall be cut off before me. I am Yahweh. Whoever of the offspring of Aaron is a leper or has a discharge shall not eat of the holy things until he is clean. Whoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man who has seminal emissions, or whoever touches any creeping thing by which he may made to be unclean, or a man for whom he may become unclean, whatever uncleanness he has, the person that touches any such thing shall be unclean until the evening. He shall not eat of the holy things unless he bathes his body in water. When the sun is down, he shall be clean. And afterwards he shall eat of the holy things, because it is his bread. He shall not eat that which dies of itself or is torn by animals, defiled by himself. I am Yahweh. They shall therefore know the commandments, lest they bear sin for it and die in it, and if they profane. I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. No stranger shall eat of the holy thing. The foreigner living with the priest or the hired servant shall not eat any of the holy thing. But if the priest buys a slave purchased by his money, he shall eat of it. And those who are born in this house shall eat of his bread. And if a priest's daughter is married to an outsider, she shall not eat of the heave offering of the holy things. But if a priest's daughter is a widow or divorced and has no child and has returned to the father's house as in her youth, she may eat of her father's bread, but no stranger shall eat of it. If a man eats something unholy unwittingly, then he shall add a fifth part of its value to it, and shall give the holy thing to the priest. I'm going to read that sentence again. I realize I said it slightly wrong. It says, if a man eats something holy unwittingly, then he shall add the fifth part of its value to it, and shall give the holy thing to the priest. The priest shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer to Yahweh, and so cause them to bear the iniquity that brings guilt when they eat their holy things. For I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and to his sons and to the children of Israel, and say to them, whoever is in the house of Israel, or who is the foreigners of Israel, who offers his offering, whether it is any of their vows or any of their free will offerings, which they offer to Yahweh for a burnt offering, that you may be accepted. You shall offer a male without defect of the bulls, of the sheep, or of the goats, but you shall not offer whatever has a defect, and shall not be acceptable to you. Whoever offers a sacrifice of peace offerings to Yahweh to accomplish a vow, or of a free will offering of the herd of the flock, it shall be the perfect to be accepted. I shall have no defect. You shall not offer what is blind, is injured, is maimed, has a wart, is festered, or has a running sore to Yahweh, nor make any offering by fire of them on the altar to Yahweh. Either a bull or a lamb that has any deformity or lacking in any parts, you may offer for a free will offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. You must not offer to Yahweh that which has testicles bruised, crushed, broken, or cut. You must not do this in your land. You must not offer any of these as the bread of your God from the hand of the foreigner, because their corruption is in them. There is a defect in them, that they shall not be accepted for you. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, when a bull or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall remain 7 days with its mother. From the 8th day on, it shall be accepted for the offering of an offering made by fire to Yahweh, whether it is a cow or ewe. You shall not kill it and its young both in 1 day. When you sacrifice a sacrifice of thanksgiving to Yahweh, you shall sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. You shall may be eaten. And on the 7th day, so I'm going to read that again, apologies. It shall be eaten on the same day. You shall leave none of it until the morning. I am Yahweh. Therefore you shall keep my commandments, and I do them. I am Yahweh. You shall not profane my holy name, but I will be made holy among the children of Israel. I am Yahweh who makes you holy, and brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Yahweh. For these few words I give thanks, blessings, and love. So here we have, again, the household of the priests and God's instructions of how the household of the priests should be behaving, and how they should be operating at times of sin, and how they atone for their sins and the offerings of their sins. And, you know, the priests have declared publicly that they're going to be intermediaries for God, following God, and living in service for the people and to God. So they've made that public declaration, and they've been ordained, as we've seen in previous chapters. And with that public prescription and with that public service comes expectations of how they should be living and operating in accordance to the laws that God set down. And it kind of makes me think in terms of, those roles of service and those public displays of service that the priests and the deacons, etc., have done, but how that also relates to, you know, everyday people who are followers of faith. You know, how do we publicly declare our faith and our positions and our values and our, you know, ways of life? How do we show that we are living in accordance with rules? Or there's not even show for other people's sake, but how do we publicly manifest our roles? You know, some people are very overt in terms of their faith positions with everyone who knows them, and, you know, whether it's through work or personal, etc. And others is much more personal to them, and, you know, you might be working with them for X amount of decades and not really know anything about them and their kind of faith journey. And different people have different reasons for that, making their faith overt and public, or very personal and private. And there's different rationales for that, and I'm not judging anyone on those decisions, because that's very kind of complex. I guess one of the things is that, you know, when you're very public with your faith and make public declarations, as priests have done, in terms of us layman people, as it were, how do we hold ourselves into account, or who's holding us into account? Are we, you know, in terms of our own consciousness, in terms of us asking forgiveness of our sins and conscious of those things? And yeah, when things are done in public, obviously all eyes are on you. But when it's a private liberty, when it's a private life lived, how are those things being held into account also? Obviously, your internal moral compass would want to be holding you in check, but as with everyone, no one's perfect. How is those things being held into check? Within Ethiopian Orthodox, there is a tradition of confession. We kind of hear confession and we automatically think of the Catholic Church. But actually, the Catholic Church came after the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and it's not the Catholic Church that owned a lot of those rituals. Do you know what I mean? Same in Ethiopian Orthodox, there's the veneration of Saint Mary, Mother of God, the Theotokos, Mother of God. But that again, didn't come with Catholicism. You know, Ethiopian Orthodox were doing that before the Catholic Church was established. So yeah, on the surface they could look like these similarities, but actually, you know, which came before? I talked yesterday about religion and archaeology, where this is a prime example, where Catholicism has made those things very well known, but it by no means was it the first to be doing those practices. So yeah, just I guess just a meditation on this idea of public and private spiritual life, public and private. Yeah, I guess being held accountable to that. You know, there is the criticism of, yeah, Christians, they just go to church every Sunday, but actually are they living it, etc., etc.? And is it more of a churchianity than a Christianity? And making sure that a spiritual life is lived 365 days of the year, 24/7, regardless of what day it is, regardless of what clothes you wear, regardless even of what label of spiritual practice you're labeling yourself. If you're living in accordance to the principles of God and of Jesus Christos, Jesus Christ, then that's what you should be doing, regardless of any eyes on you. You know. So that internal moral compass, and when we see these outward symbols of peace offerings and you know, yeah, all the other kind of sacrifices that we're seeing here, is like, how is that done on a personal level? Through prayer, through meditation as a form of prayer, through fasting, through abstinence, through attending church, you know, through chanting and singing the name of God, and these kind of practices, you know, having these our own personal structures for these roles of kind of sacrifice and repentance. So yeah, it's you know, every time you see something external and a public display, I'm also always thinking about how does that work internally? What's our internal, if you like, psychological echoes of that, and how we are keeping ourselves on that moral centre without the need of public audience, because morals shouldn't be a spectator sport. You know, living in accordance to God shouldn't be an audience participation activity. It should be what each of us are doing every single day, every second of the day, without having a need for external validation or regulation on it. It should be innate. But when we fall short of that, we dust ourselves off, ask for forgiveness, and keep going. It's not about wallowing in self-pity. Oh, I'm so terrible, and you know. It's about actually, okay, God always gives us another chance. Jesus Christos always gives us another chance. Dust yourself off, wash your face, pray, ask for forgiveness, and keep moving. Keep fasting, keep trotting, keep praying, and keep walking in the footsteps of the Almighty. So, blessed love, blessed Timket, Epiphany Day, and yeah, and blessed Sabbath, and God be the glory. One love.